The National Electrical Code requires a 20 amp circuit breaker for the table saw. Based on the breaker size and assuming a short circuit run, the minimum wire size required is 12 American wire gauge, or AUG, assuming copper conductors. If the circuit run is longer, a larger wire size might be needed to meet voltage drop requirements. To proceed with the connection, install a 20 amp fuse knife switch enclosed in an approved enclosure. Connect the circuit breaker in the main panel to the fuse switch using 12 AWG copper wire. Connect the neutral wire from the panel to the neutral terminal on the switch. Connect the ground wire from the panel to the ground terminal on the switch. Then connect the load wires from the switch to the table saw. Several additional considerations should be kept in mind. Firstly, the fuse switch must be rated for 240 volts alternating current and at least 20 amps. Secondly, the enclosure for the fuse switch must be large enough to accommodate the wires and the fuse. Thirdly, the wiring and connections must be securely made and meet all applicable electrical codes. It is advisable to consult with a qualified electrician for proper installation and verification of compliance with safety standards. Now let's elaborate on some of the key aspects to ensure a thorough understanding of the process. When selecting a breaker, it's crucial to choose one that matches the current requirements of the table saw while also providing adequate protection against overloads and short circuits. A 20 amp breaker is specified here to accommodate the 16 amp draw of the saw, while also adhering to NEC guidelines, especially Table 430.52, which relates to motor circuits. Remember that breakers are designed to trip or disconnect the circuit when the current exceeds their rated capacity for a certain period. This protects the wiring and equipment from overheating, which can lead to fires. For wire sizing, 12 AWG copper wire is suitable for a 20 amp circuit, assuming a standard installation. However, several factors can influence the appropriate wire size. One critical factor is the length of the circuit run. Longer runs result in increased voltage drop, which can affect the performance of the table saw. Voltage drop occurs because the wire has resistance, and as current flows through it, some of the electrical energy is lost as heat. The NEC provides guidelines for limiting voltage drop to ensure that equipment receives adequate voltage to operate correctly. If the circuit run is lengthy, it may be necessary to increase the wire size to 10 AWG or even 8 AWG to minimize voltage drop. Other factors that can affect wire size include the ambient temperature and the number of current carrying conductors in a conduit or cable. Higher ambient temperatures reduce the ampacity or current carrying capacity of the wire, and multiple conductors in a confined space can also lead to overheating and reduced ampacity. NEC Table 310.15 addresses this. When installing the fuse knife switch, safety is paramount. Ensure that the switch is mounted in an approved enclosure that is suitable for the environment. The enclosure should protect the switch from physical damage, moisture, and dust. The switch itself should be rated for 240 volts alternating current and at least 20 amps, as previously mentioned. Fuse within the switch provides an additional layer of protection against overcurrents. A slow blow fuse, also known as a time delay fuse, is recommended for motor circuits because it can withstand temporary overloads that occur when the motor starts up. These inrush currents can be several times higher than the motor's normal running current, and a standard fuse might blow unnecessarily. When connecting the wiring to the switch, ensure that all connections are tight and secure. Loose connections can cause arcing, which can lead to fires. Use appropriate wire connectors and tighten them to the manufacturer's specifications. Also, be sure to properly ground the switch and the table saw to protect against electrical shock. Grounding provides a low resistance path for fault currents to flow back to the source, causing the breaker to trip and energize the circuit. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions and local electrical codes when installing electrical equipment. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it's essential to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. If unsure, consult a qualified electrician who can ensure that the installation is safe and compliant with all applicable regulations. Now let's consider some specific scenarios and address potential issues that might arise during the installation process. Firstly, what if the existing breaker panel is already full and there is no space for a new 20 amp breaker? In this case, it might be necessary to upgrade the breaker panel to one with more capacity. This is a significant undertaking that should be performed by a qualified electrician. Another option might be to consolidate existing circuits by combining lightly loaded circuits onto a single breaker, freeing up space for the new circuit. However, this should only be done if it is safe and compliant with electrical codes. Secondly, what if the circuit run is very long, exceeding, for example, 100 feet? In this situation, voltage drop becomes a significant concern. To calculate the voltage drop, use the following formula: voltage drop equals 2 times the length of the circuit in feet times the current in amps times the resistance of the wire per foot divided by 1000. The resistance of the wire per foot can be found in NEC Chapter 9, Table 8. For example, 12 AWG copper wire has a resistance of approximately 1.98 ohms per 1000 feet at 75 degrees Celsius. If the calculated voltage drop exceeds 3% of the supply voltage, it will be necessary to increase the wire size. Thirdly, what if the table saw is located in a damp or wet location, such as a garage or basement? In this case, it is essential to use appropriate wiring methods and equipment that are rated for wet locations. This includes using weatherproof enclosures for the switch and receptacle, and using ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protection to protect against electrical shock. GFCI devices are designed to detect even small amounts of current leakage to ground and to quickly de-energize the circuit. They are required in many locations where electrical equipment is used near water. Fourthly, what if the table saw is a dual voltage model that can be wired for either 120 volts alternating current or 240 volts alternating current? In this situation, it is generally recommended to wire the saw for 240 volts alternating current because it will draw less current. This can reduce the load on the circuit and improve the performance of the saw. However, be sure to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully when wiring the saw for the desired voltage. Fifthly, what if the table saw is a new model that is equipped with electronic controls or other sensitive components? In this case, it might be beneficial to install a surge protector to protect against voltage spikes and other power disturbances. Surge protectors are designed to divert excess voltage to ground, protecting the equipment from damage. They can be installed at the breaker panel or at the receptacle. Sixthly, what if there are concerns about harmonics or other types of electrical noise on the circuit? Harmonics are distortions of the voltage and current waveforms that can be caused by nonlinear loads, such as electronic devices. They can cause problems with other equipment in the circuit and can also increase energy consumption. If harmonics are a concern, it might be necessary to install a harmonic filter to reduce the level of distortion. Finally, remember that electrical codes and regulations can vary from place to place. It is essential to consult with local authorities or a qualified electrician to ensure that the installation complies with all applicable requirements. Failure to comply with electrical codes can result in fines, penalties, and even the risk of electrical shock or fire. Therefore, always prioritize safety and seek professional assistance when needed. Now, let's delve a bit deeper into the specifics of selecting the right type of fuse for the fuse knife switch. As mentioned earlier, a slow-blow fuse, also known as a time delay fuse, is generally recommended for motor circuits. This type of fuse is designed to withstand the temporary inrush currents that occur when a motor starts up without blowing unnecessarily. However, it's essential to choose a fuse with the correct amp rating. The fuse should be rated at 125% of the motor's full load current rating, as specified in the National Electrical Code. In this case, the table saw is rated at 16 amps, so the fuse should be rated at 20 amps, or slightly above to accommodate any fluctuations or additional load. There are two main types of slow-blow fuses available. Firstly, time delay fuses with a dual element design. These fuses have two separate elements that respond differently to overcurrents. One element is designed to handle short duration overloads, while the other element is designed to handle sustained overloads. Secondly, time delay fuses with a single element design. These fuses have a single element that is designed to provide both short circuit and overload protection. They are generally less expensive than dual-element fuses, but they may not provide as much protection against nuisance tripping. When selecting a fuse, it's essential to choose one that is specifically designed for motor protection. These fuses are typically labeled as motor-rated or time delay and have a higher interrupting rating than standard fuses. The interrupting rating is the maximum amount of fault current that the fuse can safely interrupt without failing. In addition to selecting the right type and amp rating of fuse, it's also essential to ensure that the fuse is properly installed and maintained. The fuse holder should be clean and free of corrosion, and the fuse should be securely seated in the holder. Periodically inspect the fuse to ensure that it is not damaged or discolored. If a fuse blows repeatedly, it's a sign that there is a problem with the circuit or the equipment. In this case, it's essential to investigate the cause of the problem and correct it before replacing the fuse. Another important aspect to consider is the type of wiring method used for the circuit. The NEC specifies different wiring methods for different applications and environments. For example, if the circuit is located in a damp or wet location, it is essential to use a wiring method that is specifically designed for wet locations, such as rigid metal conduit or liquid-type flexible metal conduit. These wiring methods provide a barrier against moisture and prevent it from coming into contact with the conductors. If the circuit is located in a hazardous location, such as a paint booth or a chemical storage area, it is essential to use a wiring method that is approved for hazardous locations. These wiring methods are designed to prevent explosions or fires from occurring in the presence of flammable gases or vapors. In addition to selecting the right wiring method, it's also essential to ensure that the wiring is properly installed and supported. The wires should be neatly arranged and securely fastened to the structure. They should also be protected from physical damage. If the wires are run through walls or ceilings, they should be protected by conduit or cable armor. When making connections, it's essential to use the appropriate wire connectors and to tighten them to the manufacturer's specifications. Loose connections can cause arcing, which can lead to fires. Also, be sure to properly ground the circuit and the equipment. Grounding provides a low resistance path for fault currents to flow back to the source, causing the breaker to trip and to energize the circuit. Always follow the manufacturer's instructions and local electrical codes when installing electrical equipment. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it's essential to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. If unsure, consult a qualified electrician who can ensure that the installation is safe and compliant with all applicable regulations. Let's also consider the importance of proper labeling and documentation. Once the electrical work is completed, it's essential to label all of the circuits and equipment clearly and accurately. This will help to prevent confusion and ensure that the electrical system can be easily maintained and repaired in the future. The breaker panel should be labeled with the circuit number, the description of the load, and the amp rating of the breaker. The fuse knife switch should be labeled with the voltage rating, the amp rating, and the type of fuse used. The table saw should be labeled with the voltage rating, the amp rating, and the horsepower rating. In addition to labeling the circuits and equipment, it's also essential to keep accurate records of all electrical work that is performed. This includes a wiring diagram, a list of materials used, and the date of installation. These records can be helpful for troubleshooting problems and for making future modifications to the electrical system. It's also a good idea to have the electrical system inspected by a qualified electrician after the work is completed. This will help to ensure that the installation is safe and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. The electrician can also provide valuable advice on how to maintain the electrical system and prevent problems from occurring. Electrical safety is a critical concern, and it's essential to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others from electrical shock and fire. Always work with the power turned off and use appropriate personal protective equipment such as gloves and safety glasses. If unsure about something, consult a qualified electrician.